And we're back. We are back for another SO Cruising video. My name is Paul with SO Cruising. With me, of course, is Chris DeBonis from GoLuxuryCruiser.com. Chris, you and I were on the phone just yesterday, and we booked me a cruise. Finally, you've been harassing me for a while about it, and yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am finally going to visit Alaska on the Royal Caribbean ship, the Ovation of the Seas. Now, we have an Ovation video that we did a while back. This is a while back we did that one, but it's still pretty relevant. So go ahead and look for that one. But Chris, congratulations. You talked me into going to Alaska.
Well, you are one of my toughest clients. So, yeah, but Alaska's great. I mean, there's so much to do in Alaska that you can't really, it's tough to do it even in one trip. But I mean, I do always offer the best advice to my people and try to get them to maximize their time there because there's
one of the exciting things for me about it is that I've been to 42 U.S. states, and I'm flying into Seattle, so I'm going to check Washington off the list. I may get there 2 days early and drive down to Oregon and drive over to Idaho and then never return to the Pacific Northwest again. But I'm going to get at least Washington and Alaska off my list. So I'll be to 44, which is exciting for me. So we're starting in Seattle, and now I'm going in August. What do I need to wear?
Well, I mean, the weather in Alaska can be tricky.
The picture that it's snowing all the time.
Yeah, no. It can get quite warm. Last time I was in Alaska, and now this was a little bit unprecedented, but it did hit 85 degrees, and all of the Alaskans had no idea what to do. They were walking around. It's so warm out. I don't know what to do. But it was. But basically, I would say that the weather is anywhere between 50 and 65, 70 degrees. Always have some sort of like a windbreaker rain type of thing on because it's cloudy, it can be rainy, and it can come out of nowhere. You can walk out and it be sunny and then you get some rain and foggy, misty, that kind of stuff. So be prepared. So anytime you walk out, I would try to bring an umbrella and or even just if you had a good raincoat,
Yeah, just bring a rain jacket with you.
Yeah,
I can handle that. Yeah. So the weather will be fine. I'm not going to be up. I mean, it's going to be August, so I'm not going to be up there. Just
for the most part,
my hockey skates with me.
No.
When you think of people going to Alaska, using your own experience, because obviously, folks, Chris works for Go Luxury Cruiser, GoLuxuryCruiser.com. Chris has been on. I've travel advisor for 10 years and was on ships for 10 years before that. So there's nothing that I can come up with that I want to do that Chris hasn't done 100 times and has the best advice for. That's why I'm always working with Chris when I'm traveling. So for your trips to Alaska, give me two things that just stand out. Like, my word, you're going to Alaska, you got to do this and you got to do this. Number one.
In Juneau, there is a trip you can take on a hovercraft that takes you on a hovercraft all the way out to, and it pops up onto the glacier, and then you do a walk on the glacier and then come back on the hovercraft. I can say that was probably one of the coolest things I did in
That's
Alaska.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm doing that.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. That's one of the things you can do. The other thing I would say that would definitely, if you were going to go and not doing it, get up there and see the sled dog puppies and maybe do a dog sled run. That's pretty fun to do as well.
I did a rod for the Southerners like me.
Yeah. And also there's also some of the things to do. One of the other great things to do is go, and a lot of this can be bundled into one trip in a day. But a lot of it you can finish with a salmon bake or a crab bake, because what do they do up there? It's salmon, fish, seafood, all that.
They fish and they freeze.
Yeah. But Alaska is incredibly beautiful, incredibly visual. Do not go to Alaska and not have a balcony in your stateroom. I mean, I
No,
always
and
try
that's
to
one of the
recommend that.
first things that you told me. Say, listen,
Yeah.
I'm not booking you under a balcony. Like, don't even call me unless you're gonna at least put a balcony in. And not that you couldn't do it. You just give me friendly advice. But I mean, if you're in Alaska, then you're not. What's the point of being there if you're not looking outside almost all the time?
And it's nice when you're sailing. I mean, there's a lot of days where you're sailing and going through the glacier parks and all that, and you can sit out on your balcony, enjoy your breakfast there, and enjoy everything, and order some room service, and have just an amazing backdrop to enjoy a cup of coffee or breakfast, or it's worth it to do. The other thing about Alaska that I would say that do not miss and try to take advantage of is getting to the interior and getting to Denali and up into the actual inland. There's a lot of packages you can do that cover many different spans of days. There's 2 days to another whole week. But
I've
there's
seen those where you're on the
yeah,
ship and then you get off the ship and you spend a couple of days on the shore.
yeah.
My one of my family members actually did that. He was out there and he's like, you have to do this. Then I was doing this, and I was like, well, I guess I got to go twice because I already booked this one. Now I got to book another one and do all those things also.
Well, also, in order to do that, in order to facilitate a cruise tour, your trip wouldn't work for it. You need something. They have the one ways that go from either Seattle to Anchorage, and that's where you're going to pick up your tour to take you to the inland. Or so you'd either go before your cruise or you'd go after. But
Right.
you need a trip. You need something that that stops in Anchorage or Seward, which is the port of Anchorage.
You can go to Denali. You can just get a lot deeper into the land as opposed to just kind of hanging out. Not that there's anything wrong with hanging out in the bay, watching the sled dogs and the whales.
Oh yeah, tons of whale watching. You can go salmon fishing. They're actually, for those of you that are Deadliest Catch fans, a lot of the times the Deadliest Catch boats are in Juneau, and you can actually meet those guys. There's actually a tour that's very difficult to get on because it's not available all the time. But there is a Deadliest Catch experience where they take you out, let you throw some pots out, and reel them back in, and you can be, one of those guys without the fear of death in the Bering Sea.
That's something that I choose to avoid when I'm out on cruises. Now, is that something that people could contact you about to hope to see if they can get booked? Is that something that you have access to?
I got a guy.
Of course. That's just usually how it goes. Anything that I've ever needed whenever I've been out there, it's always been like, hey, Chris, and before I finish the sentence, it's like, yeah, I can do that for you. When do you want it? Like every time, which is awesome. So I'm going in August, and hopefully the weather will keep it.
It'll be good.
At least so I don't need my mittens and my stocking hat, but I also don't want to be
spring gloves
going near the equator in the middle of August like I normally do. For the wildlife up there, I know that there are whales and there's plenty of things.
Bald eagles.
Do you get to see anything cool on the land?
Oh my gosh, yeah. You go and you see bear, you see caribou, you see, bald eagles, of course, and there's more actually.
Bald Eagle
wolves.
Park.
Yeah.
Like the biggest concentration of bald eagles in the world is like hanging out on one of the excursions.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. And well, in Sitka, which is a really cool island, really cool port. There's a trip, and it's the trifecta. You go to the bear reserve and you get to see the bears that they've rescued. And there's actually a slingshot where they slingshot melons to the bears, and the bears eat them. And they love it. They know when it's coming, and the bears stand up and do all this stuff. And then you go to the raptor reserve where you get to see the bald eagles and some other endangered birds. And then you do a trip out on the boat where you see the sea otters and all of that. I mean, that's a long day, but it's a great trip.
But if you're going to be going, like if you're going to Alaska, and unless you live in the Pacific Northwest or even California, I suppose, like you're probably not going there often. So I don't want to spend the day on the ship. I'm not looking for a 2-hour excursion. I don't want to get off and walk around the city center and walk back like I do in like St. Thomas or in Grand Cayman. Like, I want to do something awesome. I'm in Alaska. Let's get out there and see
And
all
there
this.
is awesome to be had, Paulie. There is all kinds. There's flight seeing where they fly you around. There's one trip where you can take a helicopter and fly to the top of a glacier and go dog sledding on it. I mean,
Oh my word.
literally the sky's the limit there. Now, I will tell you this: if you do, and here's a tip and trick for free, if you do book anything having to do with planes or helicopters, always in the back of your mind have a backup, because the fog, the clouds, I would say probably 60% of the time the tour will happen, but there is a good, 30, 40%, there will be some weather issues where they can't get the planes up. And if the pilot says we can't fly, go with that.
That's it. Your opinion doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody cares if you really, really wanted to go and you had your heart set on it. The pilot says no, the answer is no.
Right. And they're usually very good about, they almost always have an alternate something. Is it going to be good as flying through the canyons and up onto the top of probably not, but there's still a number to do. And that's another reason why you book travel insurance.
Well, that sounds like a topic for another video.
It is, yeah. It is.
More reasons to, and it's also a reason why people book through you, is because when stuff goes wrong, they're not just left out, well, in Alaska in the cold. They're not just SOL, as we used to say. They are they can make a call, they can send an email. Hey, listen, Chris, this has happened. Can you help me with? And anytime I've ever experienced anything like that, for me, it's just been an email or a text, and the reply comes back, and next thing I know, the new idea has come around. Thanks so much, Chris. That's why I go with you. So people should certainly keep that in mind as well. If you're doing it on your own and something goes wrong, well, your solution to whatever has gone wrong is also on your own.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, it's funny, in Ketchikan, you'll like this, Paulie. This is a little bit of blast from the past for us New Englanders. Actually, more of us Massachusetts people. They have the ducks in Ketchikan. You can go on a duck ride. Yep, they have the ducks. Although no duck whistles though. I think they took those away on principle. It's they have the ducks. They take you through town. You go look at some of the totems, and you go into the harbor, and they show you some of the crabbing boats, and you almost always see seals and otters and all kinds of stuff. It's great.
That's super cool. I'm very go back to New England. I'm wicked excited to go. We've been talking about it for months, and finally, we said, hey, listen, let's book it, and let's just put it on the list. Let's get excited about it. And we've got many months before we go, and we can't stop researching it and looking forward to going. So we're really excited about that. Let's take a break here. Okay. I got to go. This really drives me crazy. I'm going to go shave my face.
Shave it off.
I'm going to. I got to get rid of it. So I'm going to go shave my face. Stick around, folks. After the break, we're going to come back. We're going to talk about great reasons why you want to use Chris DeBonis at GoLuxuryCruiser.com. And Chris is going to give you some great ideas and tips and tricks and secrets revealed about booking travel, not just cruises, but travel anywhere you want to go, and anything you want to do when you get there. Chris can handle it. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. So hang around, and we'll be right back.
Bye.
Go Luxury Cruiser is an all-inclusive travel agency waiting to help you book your next adventure or relaxing getaway. If you want a balcony room on Royal Caribbean, a suite on a river cruise to the Christmas markets, or a volcano view in Hawaii, Chris DeBonis at GoLuxuryCruiser.com is the expert you need. Call 888-404-5531 or send an email to Chris at GoLuxuryCruiser.com today. GoLuxuryCruiser.com. Explore, discover, go.
All right, everybody, we're back. As you can tell, Chris and I both spilled things on us during the commercial break there, so we both put on new clothes. But we're back to talk about cruising and why you should call Chris DeBonis at Go Luxury Cruiser. Email him, Chris at GoLuxuryCruiser.com. The email address, as I've said 100 times already. And the website, of course, is GoLuxuryCruiser.com. Easy enough. Now, Chris, you and I have spoken so many times about why people should use travel advisors. And one of the things that always sticks out to me is the fact that people now can do it themselves. And it's very simple to do. You go to the website, you type in the information. You can go to RoyalCaribbean.com if you want, not to pump them, but you can. You can go to Orbitz, they have it. You can go to any one of the things, and I can do it myself. But you always tell me that you can do something differently, and I know that now. So let's talk about why the people who are now watching the video should be calling you instead of booking it themselves. Let's just start with just booking a simple cruise, a simple balcony room or a suite on a Royal ship. Why should someone call you instead of booking it themselves?
Well, I mean, the first thing is you get me. I mean, I come from 10 years at sea. I've worked on almost every single class of Royal Caribbean ship there is, and I've probably been to every port of call in the world, minus maybe a dozen. And what I can do for you is I can not only add my knowledge to your cruise, but I can also add value. We can always add perks, shipboard credit. I mean, it really varies from case to case to case, but I can always add something. And that's really what it is. And look, yes, you can absolutely go to Google, type in Caribbean cruises, and you're going to get a million things. You can go to Costco now and order a cruise. But do you really want to order your cruise where you get your barbecue sauce from? I mean, I've never really understood that.
Well, you want to certainly go with an expert. You want to go with someone who knows exactly what's going on at all points in times. And you might try just getting a little bit closer to your mic because you're a little bit quiet right now. Or maybe
okay.
Move it a little bit closer. That way we everyone can hear everything we're talking about. Now, certainly if I book it through Costco and something goes wrong, what am I going to do? Call 1-800-COSTCO and be like, hi, so I'm kind of a little bit stranded here. Or, hey, listen, my room is not what I wanted it to be. And I need some help here and they're not helping me. I don't think that the cashier at Costco is going to be stepping up to the plate, but they could call you and you might be able to help them out. Is that correct?
Well, yeah. I mean, I probably would have already said, hey, just FYI, this room is, below the pool deck. So you might be hearing noises of them dragging the chairs at 7 a.m. every single morning. And if you're a late sleeper, you won't be on that cruise. That's just a little example.
There's so many things about that that others don't. And I've been on more cruises than I can ever count. And every time we talk about this, you tell me something else that I never thought about when I'm booking a cruise. You talk about being under the pool deck. When we talk about Norwegian ships, celebrity ships, you don't want to be with the magic carpet outside of you. You don't want to be under the windjammer. You don't want to be in the interior on the Allure because it's just a little bit warmer than being on the exterior. Like every time we talk, you have something else. And with all these ships out there, how am I supposed to remember it? Oh, that's right. I don't have to because I can call you instead. Now, at GoLuxuryCruiser.com, people need to know that the experience that they wish that they had, you have already done it all. So you can actually just give them the knowledge. You were on ships for 10 years prior to being a travel advisor for the past 10 years. So there's very little that you're not going to be able to know or help them with. So let's say somebody is booking a cruise in Alaska and they call you and they say, hey, listen, Chris, I want to go in a balcony room in Alaska. Can you give me an idea of what I might consider doing? Like what sort of tips and tricks would you give someone who's going to Alaska?
I always recommend with Alaska, absolutely 100% a balcony cabin. Alaska is a very visual sailing, and there's actually whole days where you spend just kind of cruising around a glacier. And I always recommend an aft facing, so a rear facing balcony, because what happens is when you're sitting there, you can see on both sides of the ship. So if the ship's on this side, you can see and then if the ship's on the other side, so you're not Because if you're on one side of the ship, if the ship turns around away from the glacier, you're not seeing anything.
You
But
got
the
a heck of a look
aft-facing
at the
balcony,
ocean, just like every other time you've been on a cruise ship
right?
looking at the
Exactly.
ocean, except it's just
And you
really
get great
cold out now.
sunsets. Yeah, great sunsets, beautiful views. And what's nice too is on the aft-facing balconies, you're sailing away from a port and you're just watching it disappear, and it's fantastic.
Now, and again, it's stuff like that that stands out. This is why people need to call you instead of. And I book a lot of cruises, and when I used to do it myself, I'd be like, oh yeah, like that one looks good, I'll take that. And then you're walking down the hallway the first time you go into your room, and you're like, geez, I didn't think about this. Oh, look at this. I can't believe, why am I here? Can I move? And it just becomes such a hassle and such a difficult thing because, listen, you don't go on 7 cruises a year. So when you get a bad room, you're in a bad room. That's your vacation. And the whole time, all you should be thinking about is, why did I think I should do this myself? There are experts out there that want to help me. And oftentimes, the assistance comes not only with booking, but you can also, through GoLuxuryCruiser.com, help them out with maybe getting a slightly lower rate on the cabin or an onboard credit, right? Like, well, I remember one time I was out there and you're like, right before I left, you're like, oh, and by the way, check your onboard credit. I got you a night in Chops. And I was like, man, that's cool. Like, I'm happy that Chris booked this for me instead of me booking it myself again and missing out on such a thing. And these are things that you can do for people, right?
Right. And here's the other thing too, is the cruise line isn't going to say, oh, you're booking directly through us, we're going to charge you less because we don't have to pay the travel agent's commission. They're not going to do any of that. They're just going to take that money and not give you whatever we would give you and not give you any of the benefits you have from our associations.
Right.
And I can tell you that, from experience, I know what these guys are talking about. I can't tell you how many times I've had blatantly, let's just say, not the best information given to me talking to people that work for the cruise line. And
Of course.
yeah. So, I mean, and that's the thing is when you're dealing with a travel agent, you got to make sure that they know what they're talking about too. It's just like anywhere else. But what I would say is when it comes to booking travel, always try to use an agent, find an agent you trust. You can always call me and talk to me, but I mean, to speak to what you're saying is there's balcony cabins that are very inexpensive on cruise lines. They could be as much as $1,000 less per person. And what they don't tell you is that's where the anchor chain is.
Right. Yeah. And actually, as an aside, I know when you try to book on Royal, like there are 2 choices. There's like, we'll choose your balcony for you, or for an extra $100, you can pick your own. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, right. Like, I'm going to let you put me in the worst cabin possible. The reason it's available is because everyone who has a brain didn't take that one. Everyone who knows what they're talking about was like, no, I'm not taking that one. That one's right next to the boiler room under the windjammer with the pool in the backyard. Like, no, thank you.
I will tell you, speaking to that, there is some times where you can look at that as glass half full. If you take what's called a guarantee and they sell out of that category, they have to upgrade you. So there are people that like to roll the dice on that.
No.
And I always say, okay, I mean, you could end up in the best cabin. I've had clients get sent up to nicer levels, and I've had them go, yep, they put me next to the anchor chain.
Yeah,
so.
that just sounds like an absolute awful thing to do. And, it's another reason to go with someone like, for those of you who are watching and listening, Chris DeBonis at GoLuxuryCruiser.com, is when you're talking with Chris, I can tell you that the customer service starts the day that you introduce yourself, and it ends not at the end of your first cruise, or not when you haven't booked one for a year. You don't get purged from the system. I know that, and Chris and I have spoken about this extensively. Someone can call Chris up and say, hey, listen, 5 years ago, you booked me on this one, and can you help me with this one? And within a couple of minutes and a quick search of a database, Chris is going to have the person's information, double check it, know what they want, know what they're looking for, because he keeps extensive notes on the people and everything that he needs to do to make your cruise the best thing. that you've had for years is this one option. Just call your favorite travel agent, which, of course, is Chris DeBonis at GoLuxuryCruiser.com. If you want to do it right, because folks, I can tell you, and I'm not. Chris isn't paying me anything to say this, by the way.
No, as a matter of fact, I had to bring him kicking and screaming over to using a travel agent because
It's actually
Paulie
true.
knew everything.
I still know everything, but the new knowledge is what's important. If you're looking to book travel, you can find someone who is a travel agent who read a couple of travel books and got hired by a travel company, and they've been doing this for 6 months. And boy, they've booked 10 or 12 cruises already, and they know what they're talking about. Or you can have someone who's been doing it for 2 years on and off on weekends, and they book their friends and family, and they work from home, and their experience is a little more than a common traveler. Or you can go with someone who actually lived on cruise ships for 10 years, who has traveled so much around the world that this travel advisor can tell you where to go and when to go and what to do when you get there in almost every port on the planet. And then for the last 10 years has been doing that. Both of those options are going to cost you the same, which is usually nothing, but one of them is going to give you what you're looking for, and the other one is going to, we were talking about rolling the dice. Well, there's your roll right there. So if you're dealing with Chris at GoLuxuryCruiser.com, it certainly is going to make a big difference for your vacation. The easiest way to get in touch, of course, is you can just simply go to the website. The phone number is on the website, right, Chris?
Yeah, everything's on the website.
Yep. Now, you can book the Caribbean, and you can pretty much book anywhere, can't you?
Yeah, no, I can book anything, anywhere. And it's funny, I know we talk about cruises a lot, but I mean, if you need something else, I can do that. If you want to stay somewhere pre or post on your cruise, I can do that. Everything from hotel rooms to villas in Monte Carlo, I can do it all.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we were talking about that, about taking trains, like after you get off the ship. If listen, you got 2 weeks of vacation, you take a cruise for a week, and then you hop on a train for a week, and you need hotels in the meantime. You need all the information. Like I always talk about cruising because, well, this is a cruise YouTube channel, so we sort of focus on that. But Chris isn't limited to just cruising, because not only has he been to these places, but he's lived in a lot of pretty exotic places and has spent a ton of time in a lot of places like that. So outside of cruising, you can also do that. We've got videos on a lot of the cruise ships. We've got videos on a lot of the ports, a lot of the cities to go to, a lot of events that happen around the world, and anything that you need to do when it comes to booking travel. You can go to GoLuxuryCruiser.com and book just about anything out there. Chris, can you book me to Antarctica, by the way?
No problem. When do you want to
go? When are we leaving?
Do you want to go out on Zodiacs, or you just want to look at it? Do you want to get right out with the penguins, or do you want to just look at them from the thing?
I mean, we're probably going to have to stand on the continent, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, that's going to be, you can't tell people that you saw Antarctica. Like, you're going to have to probably go and walk around and feed a couple of penguins.
You would be surprised. Oh, I'm okay. By the way, in Antarctica, ant meaning Arctica, ant. There's no bears in Antarctica. You got to go up to Arctica, the Arctic, to see the polar bears.
Yeah. See what I get, folks? It's you try to say something a little bit funny, and it turns out that you're just dealing with an expert who won't let things go. There we go.
Well, there's no bears in Antarctica.
Well, you know what? I'm going to bring one just to change the whole narrative of this entire video. And when people are watching this in 3 years, they're going to be like, yeah, they're up. Paul brought them there.
Paul brought that whole family down.
It'd be awesome. But it really is that simple, though, right? Like I just came up with something crazy, like, oh yeah, I want to go to Antarctica. And the answer is like, yeah, you can do that. Like I for all the things I've ever asked, hey, can we do this? Hey, what about this? Like, what's an excursion? If we're going here, what's a good excursion? Where's the thing to do here? And like, you just always know. And it's another reason why people just absolutely have to call you, email you, and go to the website and find all the information at GoLuxuryCruiser.com. and get in touch with you before they book. And if it's a short trip, if it's a long trip, if it's a balcony room, if it's a suite, if it's a junior suite, if they're looking to get into the Haven, if they're looking to get into the retreat or anything, anything at all, like you're the person to call. And that's kind of what we want people to do. So
we can always add value. We can always add value. We can always add our knowledge to the booking and make sure that, because look, especially in all these crazy times and everything, we want to make sure that the dollar you spend is maximized to where it can't be maximized anymore. So,
Yeah, it absolutely is. And if you're booking a cruise and it's going to be $2,000, but you're getting $2,300, $2,400 worth of value. And then because you did it in a certain way, it actually ends up being more value just based on your experiences than if you had just done it yourself. So
yeah,
bottom line, folks, you don't have to go it alone. You can call your friendly neighborhood travel advisor. Go to GoLuxuryCruiser.com, get in touch with Chris DeBonis or one of his partners there at the office, and they will give you all the information that you're going to need in order to have the greatest vacation at the greatest value. And the more you book, the more they know about you, the better your experience will be every time. Chris, final words for the good people who are looking to get in touch with Chris at GoLuxuryCruiser.com.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, Paul. I always have a good time.
All right, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.
Later.